A few days ago, DeWill, Pride, and Wheezy were on the Kritzkast podcast talking about MvM. In this video, I'll be responding to a few of their thoughts about MvM balance. First off, there are many game-breaking and overpowered mechanics in MvM that they failed to mention. I'll briefly go over a few of them. Refunds. Being able to change your upgrades to suit the wave is fundamentally game-breaking. Let's take, for example, Manslaughter Wave 2. The difficulty of this wave hinges on the fact that the wave is filled with easily avoidable crits. Do you want to spend 450 credits for crit resistance just to be safe? Or do you risk saving those credits and relying on your dodging skills, and in return, be able to spend those 450 credits on something else? With refunds, you can simply buy crit resistance for that wave and refund it the next. Refunds make it so that there's no incentive to upgrade smartly, allowing players to tailor the upgrades to each specific wave, artificially lowering the difficulty. Refunds are only touching the surface of overpowered mechanics in MvM. The number one example of game-breaking mechanics, Medic, had zero discussion in the podcast. With not one, but two extremely overpowered upgrades, Medic is arguably the most overpowered class in MvM. The shield itself is basically a more spammable team-wide Uber. Giving your entire team what is essentially invulnerability is extremely overpowered, especially when it's more spammable than Medic's regular Uber. Canteen specialists, and canteens in general, are also overpowered. A big problem with canteens is how cheap and spammable they are. Already, they're overpowered on classes like Soldier and Heavy, but they become even more game-breaking on Medic. Canteen Specialist makes canteens even more spammable and effective due to lowering their price and increasing duration with each upgrade tick. To make things even more outrageously overpowered for Medic, canteens synergize extremely well with the shield. A mechanic not many people know about is that a patient dealing damage or taking damage while Uber charges your shield. Well, guess what? A crit canteen helps your patient do more damage, therefore charging shield faster, and an Uber canteen lets you charge shield by simply having your patient run into robots, and it even lets you get easy Uber slots for even more Uber. There are many more issues with balance in MvM that I could ramble on about, but I'll move on to stuff that was actually said in the podcast.
Even if the supporter bots are bad scouts, it's impossible to play Spy properly. Spy is a very situational class.
Spy has one major benefit, but you need to practice it in order to do it completely well. And outside of that, he's just outshined by every other class in the game.
It sure would be nice if he was viable on more than 3 waves, wouldn't it?
He's single target focused, and that's a bit of a problem.
Spy is a specialized class. He does struggle against crowds. However, they are seriously over-exaggerating how badly he gets shut down by the spam in Valve missions. He's not unviable to play in 2 cities. As long as there are enough giants and enough cash, Spy will be a fine class to play.
Now again, it's not a problem in a vacuum, because you could argue that Heavy is a single target class, or like a Wrangled Sentry is also single target, but the difference is those are fucking hefty ass pieces of lard that can stay alive for a long ass time. Like they can tank a shitload. Like a Wrangled Sentry, 2600 health. A Heavy, he can reach his resistances pretty early because his minigun doesn't take that long to upgrade.
While Spy doesn't have the tankiness of a Heavy or a Sentry, he does have the advantage of mobility. Let's take the situation of dealing with a giant. A sentry must either be tanked with the Wrangler and canteens, or be teleported out with the Rescue Ranger. A Heavy has to heavily utilize corner peeking in order to survive. In comparison, a Spy can simply run circles around the giant, and if that fails, he can just use his Dead Ranger to escape. There are situations where a Heavy or Sentry will be better. There are situations where a Spy will be better. It can't be simplified to one class being better than the other in all situations. Context will always matter.
There is one class that I don't think it fits with MvM from the start. Pyro.
Is that? Sure.
Pyro is a close range, a mediocre damage class, not high damage, you should agree on that.
While the stock flamethrower's damage is mediocre, the problem can be solved by simply using the Flog. Giving Pyro easy access to free crits is extremely powerful, considering that a max damage Flog with crits does over 1000 DPS. Its infinite pierce allows Pyro to deal with almost anything. Pyro has great crowd, giant, and tank damage, all while being cheap to upgrade as long as you use the Flog.
No, even without the gas passer, Pyro is problematic because of two things, and the Pyro's health is even much stronger than the heavy. He's not tanky. His survivability is too low. He don't have the mobility skills unless you're using the detonator, but it costs your health.
Pyro has plenty of mobility. Movement upgrades help Pyro tremendously, and the detonator's self-damage doesn't matter that much when health on kill exists. You'll even take less self-damage as you upgrade resistances. Compared to heavy, Pyro can get in and escape much more effectively, counterbalancing Pyro's lower health. This isn't even accounting for the free Uber you get from taunt canceling with the Flog.
People told me when I made my video that you shouldn't be upgrading resistances on Scout, you should be upgrading damage. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm making this for people who don't know how to play the game. When people first play MvM, the Scouts, they're already going to miss money because they're too busy focusing on shooting things and not on picking up all of the credits. And you want me to tell them that they're good at shooting things and should continue doing that instead of picking up the credits?
Yes, to any MvM scouts out there, upgrade your gun. Money collection is pretty much automatic as scout. You'll be up close to robots shooting your gun, meaning that you'll collect most of the money without even thinking about it. If you miss a few dollars, who cares? A missed 50 or even 100 doesn't matter that much in the long run. The additional damage you'll contribute matters more than getting that A+. Telling people to upgrade resistances first as scout is like telling people to upgrade resistances first as soldier so they can blow more banners. Upgrading your damage first allows you to do your job more effectively, that being to shoot robots as well as supporting your team. Upgrading your gun doesn't reduce your supporting capabilities. Teaching new players a counterproductive playstyle does not help in the long run. And that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. That's it from me. See ya.